Hello, thank you for your interest in the Master of Sustainable Peacebuilding program at UW-Milwaukee. My name is Bridget Brown. I am the program coordinator for MSP, and today the program director, Lynne Woehrle, and myself will be talking to you a little bit about the MSP and why you should do it.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is where you're watching this. We're really glad that you took the time to take a look at this video, and we look forward to meeting up with you at another time for a discussion. So we want to talk a little bit about why MSP. As the director of the program, my background is in social science, sociology, anthropology, social policy. And that's just one of the many perspectives that comes into our program. We also have faculty and students who have backgrounds in environmental science, in arts and literature. In the MSP, we're bringing together really a transdisciplinary perspective on thinking about large social problems, wicked, difficult, intransible conflicts that we have trouble solving, deep social problems. So whatever perspective you're coming from, we welcome you into the program, and we look forward to learning from your lens and your way of thinking. So why MSP? Most students come because they have found themselves in a space in their lives where they would like to seek a little bit more education. They want to practice and develop more skills. They'd like the social or professional networks that come with the MSP. And so we have students who come from a number of different backgrounds. Many have had some time in a workplace or perhaps working in the community or somewhere else in the world. Many of our students have perhaps done time in a Peace Corps type of program or AmeriCorps, but that's not a requirement. Some students also come after just finishing their undergraduate degree. What we look for in a student is really somebody who is eager and thirsty and hungry for taking their work around peace building, conflict transformation, or community development and change a little bit deeper. So looking to work on their practice. This is an applied master's program, looking to work on practice, looking to learn how to work in groups and develop perhaps a consulting business would be another reason some students come. So that's just a brief introduction to why our students show up in our program. And we hope that if you have questions about that, that you'll reach out to us.
One of the most common questions that we get about the MSP is what types of careers can you do with this degree? And the answer to that is that it really, really varies depending on the student's interest and background and areas of expertise when they come into the program, and also what they study and focus on while they're in the program and how they craft their field work and all of those pieces. Up here on the screen, you see some logos for several different organizations that our alumni have worked at upon graduating from MSP. And at this time, we have over 60 alumni out in the world doing good work. But just to give you a couple of examples, we have, a lot of our students when they graduate end up in the nonprofit sector. Others do go on to be independent consultants. We have students, graduates that end up in higher education or working for a government agency or even in the private sector. So again, it really, really varies. And one of the things that's very special about MSP is the amount of time we spend kind of independently mentoring our students and guiding them through professional development to help them reach their professional goals.
So I'm going to talk just a little bit about the core, the program, the core, and the electives. And we have on the left side of your screen a summary of key ideas that we look at in our master's degree. Systems thinking is something that we've worked really hard on, and it's one of our niches, one of our specialties, is thinking about how you take the skills and tools of systems thinking and bring them together with thinking about conflict transformation as well as community change and community development. So students spend time learning some of the tools of systems thinking. And when I say systems thinking, there are a broad number of approaches to that from different disciplines. whether one's thinking in sort of a more of an ecological system or thinking about a large social system, perhaps an interest in a theory like intersectionality that brings together identities from different perspectives and looks at who we are within a larger system. Those are just some brief examples. We spend some time the first year really exploring what kinds of systems are thinking that are out there and how you might integrate that particular perspective that you were drawn to into your work. Conflict transformation, which thinks about conflict as something that could be a really positive experience. It's not something necessarily to try to wipe out of the world, but rather to think about how do we get constructive conflict into our lives. We spend time looking at that in some of our classes, and also that could be from very much the individual to the social level to the global level. What you build in your curriculum, much of it is around where your interests lie. And so you'll often be doing projects for classes. And if you have a very global perspective and interest, you might choose a topic that would take you in that direction. If you'd like to, do something about the problem on your own street, then you might dig a little deeper into that level of social change work. Community centering is how we try to talk about the idea that instead of thinking of ourselves as people who are fixers or experts who come in and really look at, trying to change something that maybe we're not even really a part of yet, that we look to develop our skills about how to facilitate conversations, do listening, use connecting tools in order to work with communities that might need the knowledge and expertise that we have been developing and the systems thinking that we have learned. But rather than thinking that we have a solution, we look at how do we travel along with people who are living in that situation and help them to develop their solutions. And then context awareness relates to that, along with just thinking about, we're not experts at fix. We also think about that whoever we are, it brings a particular lens to the work that we do. And that can be very helpful. It can also at times be extractive or harmful. So we spend time really thinking reflectively about who we are as practitioners and what we want to do as our approach to thinking about social change. So that's the context awareness, always being aware that everything happens within a context and that we happen within a context. And then the practice, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those practice opportunities, but I want to just share that it's at every moment of the program, whether you're taking a text and reading it and bringing that into the class and developing how you think about that and listening to your peers, to doing a consulting project, perhaps with a community organization, to developing your own field work and what that looks like and where you will be placed. So the overall program, it's 2 years or 3 years. We have a full-time program, we have a part-time program. So overall, then your core classes, you're going to complete 29 credits. Then you're going to add 9 electives, which is a super cool opportunity because we're at a Research One university. It's, so many opportunities to work with faculty to find out about what they are. We are very accepting of courses from all over the graduate school. So if you want to put a lens of the arts or literature or engineering or, water sciences onto your program, then you can do that with your electives. And then field work, depending upon whether you're doing the 2 or 3 year plan, you will spend one of your summers while you're in the program doing a longer, more deeper, extensive fieldwork process that we help you to support and set up. But you take a great deal of leadership in that during that fieldwork time in developing and practicing the tools that you've been gathering in your classes.
So just to expand a little bit on the fieldwork, Lynne has described how it's something that is self-initiated and developed. And so that's a big part of what fieldwork is in MSP. So throughout the first year, we spend a lot of time bringing students and practitioners and organizations together so students can really get an idea of where they would like to develop a fieldwork project and what tools they would like to use from their first year in the curriculum. And it's sort of an ongoing matchmaking process, an iterative process that really begins when you enter the program and isn't really ready until you begin, whether it's in your first summer or your second summer, depending on if you're full-time or part-time. But it ends up being so for 220 hours, it ends up being about 6 to 8 weeks, pretty full time in the summer. And it is wide open what you do and where you go. And like so many aspects of the program and careers, it really depends on your interests and your experiences and how you want to grow and what the organization or community you're working with, what their needs are. We have had students, many students do field work in Milwaukee. Students do field work in other parts of the United States, and then globally, around the world in a lot of different locations. And so actually here are two pictures on the screen of a couple of international projects that our students have worked on. On the left of your screen, you'll see a group of students that is up in the Shield Triangle of Guatemala, partnering with the Engineers Without Borders to bring a community perspective on the engagement process to their water development planning within these communities and their evaluation. And students have gone on that trip for several years and participated in that project. And another one of our partnerships over on the right here is at the International Peace Initiatives Institute, IPI, which is in Meru, Kenya. And we send students there almost every summer to work and on various projects. But here, there's a picture of one of our alums with some of the children at IPI. And so it really, really varies. We have students who work with these organizations that we partner with frequently. And we also have students that go off and completely find a new organization or a new partner and develop something that's completely new that has not been done yet. And so again, it's something that we work with you on. You develop your proposal through a course and you complete your fieldwork through a course. But it's a really exciting time of MSP where you really get to apply everything you've learned in your classes in, hands-on in the field. I want to talk just a little bit about financing your MSP next. That's another question that we frequently get. So for tuition, so graduate level tuition has its own rate. It's slightly different than the undergrad tuition, and it really varies depending on where you're coming to MSP from. If you are a Wisconsin resident, it's at the lowest level. If you are within the Midwest Student Exchange Program or the MSEP there, we also have a program with Minnesota that's slightly different. That's at about 1.5 times the rate of Wisconsin. And then there's an out-of-state rate, and that's for students who are coming from out of the MSEP or Wisconsin, and that includes international students. And so it really, really varies. So one thing that's important is if you want to know what it's going to cost you, is to figure out your residency status, and then you will be able to get a lot more information. And I'm happy to speak with you about that process. In addition to tuition, there are what we call segregated fees at UWM. And these are just, kind of like taxes. They're payments that students make every semester that cover campus resources, including the library, the health center, which includes physical and mental health services, our student union. It provides a bus pass for the county bus system, all sorts of services to students. And so they vary from semester to semester, but typically like in the 500 to 900 range, and it really depends on the semester. And then we always tell students plan early for field work. So field work, there's no set cost for that. It really varies. If I had to give a range, anywhere from 500 or 1,000 up to $5,000, really depends on, are you staying in Milwaukee? And are you doing a paid position? Are you going abroad? And where are you going? And are you able to get scholarships? And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment here. But plan early, plan for the cost, and then if you are able to get some financial support, then that can be a relief rather than an expectation or then having to change plans at the last minute. There's also living expenses if you're not already living in Milwaukee. And then for international students, travel and visa. So your airfare and any visa, vaccines, health assessments, anything like that that needs to be done for traveling to the United States. So we always tell students as early as you can start searching for UWM and especially external scholarships. There are limited funding opportunities at UWM, and typically full funding is really, really limited in terms of covering tuition and all expenses. And so start early, look to foundations, look to your government to see if there's any kind of support for international students. And then within our program, we do have limited teaching and graduate assistantship positions available during some years. And so what we always say for those is apply early. The students who apply in the first kind of priority round of applications will be considered first. And so that's something, but it's not a guarantee. Again, we have limited opportunities. And then just to go back to the fieldwork funding, there are scholarships through some programs on campus that are specific to funding travel or research or fieldwork in specific regions or on specific topics, or for students from specific programs. And so those are opportunities that we can tell you more about, but there are opportunities to apply. But again, plan for the most expenses, and then you can adjust from there. I'm happy to talk about financing if there are any questions about that.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about Milwaukee, but I will also want to add that as part of this program, you will be joining the College of Nursing. That's a unique setting for a sustainable peace building program, but it also does mean, following up on what Bridget was explaining about funding and financing, is that there are some scholarships through the College of Nursing, and it just takes some discussion and thinking about how you would shape yourself. But health, if we think about health as a broad topic, it's definitely worth checking out. Just beyond the word peace, there's a lot of different ways to think about funding and financing a program. So we'd welcome you to Milwaukee. We'd love to see you come and visit. If you have an opportunity to come before applying or while applying, you can find out a lot about Milwaukee. There's a great website called Visit Milwaukee that will give you sort of the more tour and what things to do, so you can get a little idea of some of the great opportunities we have here. But what I would say about Milwaukee, besides this gorgeous picture, is we're on one of the Great Lakes. We have this incredible freshwater resource, which we want to really care for environmentally, that's right outside our door. And Milwaukee, you can also see in this picture, has a lot of trees and green spaces. One of the first things I noticed when I interviewed and moved to Milwaukee was how many parks and bike trails and opportunities to get outside and really do self-care that Milwaukee has. Also, UW-Milwaukee has, like I mentioned before, is a research one, but also an access university, has an incredible diversity of programs. So I would jump on that website, poke around, see what some of our faculty are doing, even beyond the MSP. We have a School of Public Health that's located right in the urban community. We have a School of Freshwater Sciences. We have a really innovative college of education that is working on community levels of education. And I mean, there's just not enough time to tell you all the different work that our faculty are doing. And we have an advisory committee for the MSP that is very much made up of different disciplines. And we look forward to connecting you with all of those faculty. They're also mentioned that there are sometimes research opportunities. You can sometimes faculty have a grant and you can jump on that. It's a great way to get to know faculty a little bit more. Also, I would say search out the student organizations. They're not just for undergraduates. They're also for graduate students, and it's a great way to connect with students in different disciplines on campus. In addition, we have many opportunities to volunteer. There's a student-run food bank here on campus that serves the faculty, students, and staff in the local community. In the College of Nursing last year, we also had a great number of students who volunteered with our vaccine clinic, including some of our MSP students who have crossed over from pharmacy or from the field of nursing to come into the MSP. So it's a vibrant community. There's a lot right outside the campus, but it's also, I'm going to now, if you want to go forward on the next slide, I'll talk about the city a little bit. We're a city, if you think about the metropolitan region, we're just under 1 million. We have a very active business and finance community. We also have a thriving arts community. In this picture, looks a little bit like a sailboat. Right on the lakeshore there is actually our art museum. And when during the daytime, the glowing wings kind of open up. We also have a lot of great food. If you're a foodie, this is a great town to try different kinds of food. We have a real sort of intersection of cultures and racial groups in the city of Milwaukee. And we find the students are real excited that they can get around because it's a smaller city. They can get around either with public transportation or bicycles or walking or by using a zip car. They can really get around the city really quickly and get lots of different experiences. So check out the city of Milwaukee, check out Visit Milwaukee, look at some of the cultural events. The summer is full of lots of festivals, everything from our famous music festival to different cultural festivals. We have one of the biggest and longest held Irish fests and German fests. So, you know, it's a great, very livable city. And we look forward, if you happen to be coming our way, to offering you a chance to drop in and say hello.
So if you're interested in applying, I just want to share a couple of important dates and requirements and other information with you. So December 15th is our priority review. So again, back to that funding, that's the time that you want to apply by if you want first consideration for any internal opportunities. We also review quite a few applications at the February 1st deadline, which is our secondary review. And that is also the deadline for international students to apply is February 1st. And that is because there are just so many logistics that go into planning for international study, getting travel and visas and all of that whole process in place that we need to have that deadline set relatively early in the year. After February 1st, if we have spaces in the program, we do rolling admissions until we fill spaces. And that can even be, you know, into the summer for local students who don't have to plan a big move or anything like that. But again, once our spaces are full, they're full. So we encourage early applications. Some basic requirements, pretty general, a bachelor's degree in any field. That can be a Bachelor of Fine Arts. It can be a more practice-oriented bachelor's like an engineering degree, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Arts. There's quite a wide variety. We have had students from all of those backgrounds. You need to have a minimum of a 2.75 GPA to get into the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee as a graduate student, and you need to have demonstrated proficiency in English language if English isn't your primary language where you are coming from. And then for the application itself, this is all detailed online very clearly, but just to run through it, it's a very simple online application. And then you write an essay called your reason statement, talking about why you want to do the MSP, why it's a fit for you, and you know how it will help you grow. You need at least 2 letters of recommendation. We recommend, if possible, if you could get 1 professional reference and 1 academic reference. And I'm happy to talk about other scenarios for that if that doesn't work for you. A resume or a CV, your transcripts from all of your undergraduate or prior educational institutions that you've attended, a writing sample. Typically those come from an undergraduate program, or it could be something that's a professional piece. If you don't have something, we have a guided essay online that you may use instead to write a new sample. And then for our international students, we require proof of English proficiency, and that is through an exam or through a sign off from our international office, and you can connect directly with our international office to find out more about that. And then it's a $75 application fee, no matter if you're Wisconsin out of state international. So those are the requirements and kind of how to apply. And I want to so put a plug in here. So today, Lynn and I have told you a lot about the program and what to expect, but we know there are probably lots of questions. And so each month we will be hosting a virtual question and answer session. And you can find out that schedule below this video or right next to this video on our website. And we ask that you register in advance so we can send you any updates and follow up with you afterwards to see if you have further questions. And you may also send me an email. My email address is right here on the screen, and we can set up a one-on-one meeting if those question and answer sessions don't work for you or if you have more specific questions. And so that is how you can learn more about our program. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video today.
We're so glad you could stop by and see us online, and we hope that you'll reach out to us and that we'll hear from you soon. Thanks.